Hello, my delicious co-creators. Lilou here on the beautiful island of Oahu with, actually you have to say your name because I'm going to have a hard time saying those beautiful Hawaiian names.
Kahu Kaimiloa.
Beautiful. And so we're here at the World Congress of Quantum Medicine, and you just did a Hawaiian blessing. Could you tell us more about this blessing? Because I was there, in the audience, and I was moved to tears. There's so much energy that moved in this room. I felt so deeply in my heart the love. And I'm like, what is going on here? What just happened? I mean, I was in tears. I felt so much gratitude in my heart for being present in that moment. What happened?
It's good that you share that because the prayers, or ole pule, done in chant, addressed that all of our hearts open to receive the gratitude, the love, the learning, and the sharing that's going to take place from now, within the next few days, and then even as we leave the conference and move forward in our lives.
So tell us what happened. Is it the words that you speak? Is it the blessed water? Is it the spirit that accompany you on this? What makes it so? Why your heart can open that fast?
Well, as a kahu, I am. When we say kahu, it's referring to the keeper of traditions, and so in our ancient ways, and I say this with an open heart because in this case, it was Hawaiian, but it addressed every race, every individual, every heart that was here. And because we are in Hawaii, I called upon not only our Amakua, which is our protectors and guardians, but all of yours, all of ours, to come forward in unity into this beautiful event where learning and sharing will take place. And to help make the way, I use traditional, we call it ki. They're blessings, tools we use for blessings. And as I shared, I don't have most of them with me now because I gave it to Dr. Paul Juen as a dedication to the hard work. It's a twining, like the Maile, the twining of all our royalty, all our blood, our greatest creator, Keakua, of whom we call our God, our Creator, our universal light, that it touches all of us in the aloha, the alo, the presence of our breath, and that comes from within out to be shared. And as you were in sync with the chanting and the prayers, your guardian angels, you within yourself opened up your aloha and felt the beauty of the ha, or the breath of life, which is filled with moisture, the waters, the richness of who we are and who we come from, where we come from.
Is it possible that you do a blessing for everybody watching this right now? Because this is very much an international crowd all around the world, and I really feel it would be such a blessing and an honor to feel that, and for people watching right now.
Yes, it vibrates throughout the world. Yeah. In the aloha, the breath, it sprinkles. The water sprinkles physically. And it's special sacred water. But because the prayer is coming from the inside breath, it four corners of the world, and up above and below our feet. And so, yes, physically, to not be here, you can still feel the aloha because you hear the vibration. You feel the waters within you vibrate to the toning, which is in the chanting, and most of all in the spirit of who you are and what you seek. It is there for anyone who requests it, anyone who chooses to.
So do you have to speak it out right now in Hawaiian, or is it naturally kind of transmitted?
It's naturally transmitted. Yeah. In a ceremonial event, the vibration is felt when it's done in person. However, with the prayers that I do, it doesn't end there. The event may end and there is closure, but the underlying kauna, there's always a poetic meaning to it that it perpetuates. At the end, I said, "Wa mama noa tulele." This is the N. It ends in prayer. Tulele means let it fly. So when I say let it flies everywhere, whether it's through transmittal, whether it's through the wind that carries it, whether it's to the oceans and the waters that connect to the other side of the world. So it's in the directional prayer and how it ended that it continues.
Tell us more about the Hawaiian history and the values of Hawaiian and how you were brought up, and how can we learn from your culture?
I was brought up very Christian. We came at a time when a lot of these prayers were kapu, or put to secret, because and as much as I respect Christianity, there were people in this world, the governments, that may have used Christianity as a fear to control people. And that is my belief. And others may feel differently. However, in the learnings, there was always an inner part of my na'o, or my gut feeling in my heart, that there was something more to something was missing. And as I grew older, it was being with my kupuna, the elders, that brought me back to understanding the old ways. And my tutu lady, my Hanaid grandmother, kupuna, Kalima Hoʻoponopono, had once told me that one day I will need to help in Noah, lifting the kapu, so that the old ancient ways can begin to be shared amongst all races, and that there will be others around the world doing the same thing in their own way, their own culture. So I let my heart go. As I was growing older, I opened my heart to learning multi-ethnic culture, different ways that people healed, and then I found a commonality. It was all in the heart and in intent. How we do it, we speak differently. The tools we use are different. But for this, I so admire your guest speaker coming in, Dr. Masaru Emoto, because he speaks of the waters and how with thought and words it puts whatever intent or whatever emotion we're feeling. And the Hawaiians and other cultures were very into respecting the values of the aina, respecting the waters and the fish or sea creatures that live in it, how we care for the land to plant healthy foods and stay healthy. So lokahi, the harmony to work together, the harmony within self. Aloha, to have that love in your heart and share that love. In the laulima, hands coming together, the hui of knowledge as this world conference, quantum conference, where you have so many that are able to share the healing modalities, and that to come together in a powerful moment as this is blessed by our Lord, our Keakua, our Creator. And so a lot of the prayers were protocols in the Hawaiian culture that made way, opened up the doors, the pathway. The hala, which was one of the I want to say ingredients, one of several items in that lamaku, that torch I gave. It comes from the hala tree, the breath, la, the pathway. So for some of us culturally in Hawaii, this is a replication of the breath of journey, the breath of pathway that we are wanting to create. And that helped to open the way for all the speakers and the participants to come together. The prayer was to, in the knot that I did, was to pa'a, that we become one.
God, I had tears when you start blowing on it, and you said this is where the prayers are kept, and this is. Tell us more about that part, because I felt there's something that really resonated there when you said that. I don't even understand it on an intellectual level.
Well, you know, that's beautiful because you let your heart do it, and as I said, the language is beautiful. It's poetic. But if you don't understand what the words are saying and you feel the vibration of what it's creating in the pathway, then it's the mana or the energy that comes from you, comes from everyone that brings it all together. So I had things that were already tied in a knot. That was my prayer last night as I prepped that was my goal to do. I had the black tea leaf that is very special for some, very rare to get in the islands, but it was used by the highest of, in the ancient days, used by the highest of kahuna, which are special priests for medicinal healing. That's a difference. I'm a kahu, keeper of the traditions, but the kahuna are specialties that they work, and they would pray for healing or pray for whatever. So that represented the strongest prayer of our ancestors, the hala. And then I had the lawa'e, which is the fern from the Aina, or the land of Mauna Ala. Auntie Namahana, who once the curator there, shared some with me to plant as she knew my journey. And that is a fragrance for the royalty and spirits. There's a fragrance that as it maneuvers out, it calls upon, it's a draw for a congress of spirits to come. And they come because they're called by special things, whether it's through the oli or chant, or by little things that we know that belongs to their tradition. And so part of what you felt was the royalty of the Hawaiian people, in as much as the royalty of whomever your generations of heritage hold within you. And so with that vibrates an even greater mana, which is what touched your heart as well. And it was protected by our medicinal tea leaf plant, which is used in all forms of medicinal assistance.
I'm curious to know if the Hawaiians have also prophecies around 2012 or this period of time.
My tutu lady didn't.
Tutu is grandma.
Grandma, yes, grandma. And then we have our kupuna, which is our elders, who there's a lot of hanai. In hanai are like adoptive elders that take in students to learn, people that they want to mentor or take care of. So I've had several. But my tutu lady, which is also hanai, but she wanted to share her breath with me. She didn't say it how we say it today. All she said would be, there will come a time when you must kina, pass on the torch, and Noah, lift the secrets that I'm sharing with you, because it'll be a time when the world is ready to listen to the old ways again. And so she never told me how it would happen, but I would know when it was happening, and that there will be prophecies and chants that would say that there will be a great turnover of eruptions, that Pele, the goddess of creation, will be angered. But in that anger, because of us destroying her body, comes the recreation. And that so with that comes the recreation, that we can perpetuate what we need to do to mend our ways. And so, like with many things, there are destruction before the beauty, and it's part of the recycling of life. So I knew, or I would hear poems or chanting of such things, but it isn't until now that I go, oh. And there are several, such as my sister in there, hula sister, who's a kumuhula, and I'm sure she knows chants. We mentored under Hau'oli Stephen Kupihea in different ways. She's truly a student of his. I was during the last few months of his life. So he was beginning to teach me the protocols and the spirit of love through being a Lua warrior, and that a warrior was greatest in the power of love. And we would fight only to fight to defend, and using the heart first. And so I never got to finish that mentoring with him because he passed. but it was through Helani Hewen that I met him. And so when I saw her today, for me it was a sign that his presence of sharing some of the old ways is a time to share the love. Yeah.
Tell us about some of those signs that, because you mentioned it several times when you were speaking on stage, the synchronicities, those blessings. Is everything a sign really for you, or we have to kind of feel it in our heart, whether it's a real sign or not, if I could say?
It's all of the above. There was a time when things used to happen and I didn't catch on. And then after several challenges, I would go, oh, aha. And yeah, like, oh, aha, I get it now. And my tutu lady, Kalima, used to always say, finally. And I would say, why don't you tell me? Explain it to me so it's quicker. And she said, you would have to learn to feel it in your heart and to know, because if I were to just tell you, you wouldn't believe me. And that the best way to understand a ho'ailona or a sign is to let your heart go, accept it. And if it was not that great, to learn from it. And if it was pono or righteous, enjoy it and then share it. So a lot of it were, even when I read into what's written in the Europe and in the American English language, there are prophecies that come in chants that I can't say the chants, but I knew certain individuals who knew, and they would say that, look for the signs, the earth will fall.
A lot of it is oral.
Yes.
So you just, it's you receive it,
yes.
But a lot of it can be changed or no?
There was a time when it was kapu. You cannot change. That is the law. And that many families, Hawaiian families, will adhere to that. And then there are many families who are now realizing we don't live the same way in ancient Hawaii. And that now, with the permission of our kupuna, or in a prayer, that we can now change it because we live in a different world, a different kind of atmosphere. And some of the learnings I had, I would recall my past life, and that was one of the things that helped me understand why I would go to a certain place and I cry, and then I see certain things, and then I realize I've been here before, and so I would share that with my tutu lady, and she would explain by questioning me, what did you hear? What did you see? How did you feel? And before I knew it, I was answering my own questions.
So the Hawaiians believe in past lives?
Yes, yes. We believe in the genealogy of continuation, and that I learned this from my tutu lady, Namahana, who was curator of Mauna Ala, where a royalty is buried and nurtured. And I couldn't understand some of the things that I was seeing and feeling. And she would say, she used to call me baby girl. It's because it's up to you to remember what your past was like, so that when you recognize a situation in this lifetime, go within your heart to know how to correct that mistake. If it was not a mistake, you will remember what you did to keep it pono, or to keep it safe, to keep it correct. And a lot of times when I'm doing my chanting, I open up my heart to listen to my kupuna, and they share with me what I see, what I do, and who and what I'm addressing.
Because within that blessing, you also allowed the negative to go, huh? Including past lives, I guess.
Yes, whatever is not needed,
yeah.
we say we cut it, we end it. Yeah,
Cut the cord.
cut the cord, and it is possible. Even in the Hawaiian culture, there are two special people that I know that help people to cut the cord of things or negative energy they don't need, because you are now empowered to, don't forget them, but you're empowered to know what you need to do to now follow the lahaula, to follow that path that will make it better for you, better for your family, better for the world.
I had another question now regarding the law, the universal laws, the joy, the abundance, maybe the law of abundance. Is there some things of that nature? How do Hawaiians see abundance?
We say vai vai. Vai vai. And then you put a name to it. Vai vai pono, vai vai la'o. Vai, the water, your speaker this weekend is special in that the Hawaiians believe that water is a fluid, visual sustenance of what flows within us. And that in this water of life, we make what we need to do to make it work. And so in the richness, for the farmers back then, the richness was having water from the mountains, water from the rivers, because that's where they could fish, that's where they could, that's the kai, the abundance of ocean water. Yeah. For the fishermen, yeah. the vast vai, kai vai vai, is that a lot of the ocean foods come from there. For the farmers and the land people, it was to grow their kalo, their ulu, their other trees and plants that they need, the la'au lapa'au, the plants that they need to use in medicinal healing. The more water you had, they would go, oh, vai vai nui, because that farmer could grow an abundant amount of whatever he was growing. Or the fishermen would be abundant in the fish that they bring. And the values of sharing was how the villagers survived. You know, there was no money. I give you fish, you give me kalo. You give me ulu, I give you more fish or opihi or whatever they caught. And during this month of November, the makahiki begins. And that's a time of putting all anger down and celebrating whatever you have, and you share it. So that's when a lot of the sharing was given to the ali'i, because they were living on his land. So the values of respect, the values of the richness of the vai is what feeds us. And so when Dr. Imoto speaks of what we put into the thoughts of the water and words, it is what we do to ourselves that we can make a big difference. That's the abundance, richness of life.
And when we share what we have in abundance, we give that to others. And then, because it's about the giving and the receiving, it's about sharing what we have. Otherwise, how can we maintain that flow? It's just then it's just then money then, or yes. There's nothing with it.
Nothing with it. And that's, you know, the whole world has become that way because of however our leaders had restricted and change the rules of the Aina, rules of the land, rules of many culture, which I believe have the same values. And when man-made laws put a lot of the kapu or restrictions on it, everything became a valued money exchange, and then unhappiness, and then greed, and then anger. And so to a point where we are in our world today. And so there have been other kahuna who have shared that in prophecy and some people will believe this, some people will not. I believe it, and the Hawaiian kupuna that shared it with me will believe, and so I will share this. And it was prophesied even back then to the Hawaiian priests that we would lose much of our land, and that we would be overtaken. And with that will come a great learning that we will need to learn to forgive. We will need to learn to look at what had happened, have the power to now change it to a better way of living. We are at that. Many culturally involved people believe that. However, by choice, there are different ways people are addressing that. There are still some with anger, and there are those that are humbly knowing that they have intermarried within this multi-ethnic race, and so they must now respect values of both. How do we merge that to become peaceful? and loving and
Difficult one.
yes. But I believe in prayer, and by sharing the the breath, and by having events such as this that is an open invitation to various forms of multi-ethnic practices and cultural beliefs, that we can become one again.
Because there has to be a sadness within the people of this land to be kind of occupied. Huh?
Yes, there's tremendous sadness, and there's still anger. But throughout the years, I have seen there's still anger, but it's not as intense as before. There are more and more people of this land that are beginning to see that we have to live in harmony. And what has happened in the past has happened. What can we create now and leave a legacy for our future, our children?
And practice Ho'oponopono.
Yes. Ho'oponopono. Ho'o means to do. Pono is to make right. And like vai, when you add the two words double, it intensifies. So some people will go pono, pono, pono. But Ho'oponopono is to make things to the best rightness. And again, there are different ways. Different families practice different ways, but it's being able to speak and listen to one another clearly and without interruption, and to a point of being able to express what needs to be said, and whether it comes out to an agreement at the end, or an agreement that you will still believe what you believe, I will believe what I believe, and we will work towards living a peaceful life. The greater goal, though, is to come together and come to an agreement and amend the hardships. But a lot of the prayers today was to create an open heart first. Many times, like you said, we have to experience, or many times people experience sadness first. And then the hope that there are ways that can be created to heal that hurt. And
that to be transmuted into greater, deeper love.
Yes, yes. When I started doing activities or doing blessings and openings for the non-Hawaiian, several Hawaiians did approach me. What are you doing? And I said, I'm living the life of having the values that our ancestors, yours, mine, everyone's, that we do this with an open heart. And that even our queen, Lilou, had said during the time she was in prison, we must learn to forgive and we must learn to love and trust. She had become a Christian, trust in the Lord. And so trust in the amakua of your ancestors.
Why was she imprisoned?
That was during the time of the overthrow. And the land, Hawaiian lands were overtaken by the Western government. Yeah, and that was a big hurt for the Hawaiians. That she was our last reigning queen that stayed in the palace.
When was that? What year?
Oh my gosh, I'm so
long time ago. Is it?
Time ago. Oh yes, I'm
hundreds of years.
Oh yes, yes, yeah. But every year they celebrate her birthday, which was last month. And I can't remember the exact date. And
it's okay.
They celebrate at the palace, Iolani Palace, right in here downtown. You can still walk through it and see, the royal artifacts. It's a museum type now. But Hawaiian groups will celebrate her birthday there. So even then, though, it's even when our kings and queens would speak for our human self in today's world, because we experience different kinds of hurt and anger, we bypass some of our values that if we can only remember, and if families can remember to share them with their children instead of the anger, to share the love, the forgiveness, the sharing, and the abundance, it will feed, like you said, it becomes a cycle of life. And many of, I'm going back to how you were saying, there were never words written. Everything was in chants. And so they had chanters that remembered the history. remembered the successes, remembered the aches. And so in the world of hula, many of our kumu hula pick a genre of time, and then they create dances to these chants or music that keeps us remembering. That's one way we share our traditions. The kahiko, our ancients, really go into a lot of the male dominance, because only males danced hula at one time. And they were also historians. They dance, a lot of it's rough moves because they're imitating a battle. And so they would also imitate very caring things, but it was done in a very masculine way. The awana now opens up to a more graceful dance, and this is where modern lyrics to remember a place takes place.
There's something that I'm seeing through for people that believe in past regression, that maybe some of us used to be Hawaiians in past lives.
Yes.
Because there's such a resonance. Like, I feel for me, there's such a deep resonance here that, you know, it's this blend now of cultures, of who knows who was Hawaiian before and who was conqueror at the time and now is in the Hawaiian, how all this work is beyond. But there is the forgiveness. So I want to offer to please accept forgiveness for the people that had came to this island and conquer it. You know, please allow, you know, this, because there is it's amazing the power of generation after generation, and what can happen and what can be healed through just the prayers, through just Ho'oponopono.
That is 100% to the belief of what several of my kupuna had shared. When I would remember certain things, and some of them were very ancient Hawaiian, and then I would remember things that were in Native American Indian, and I would be confused, and my tutu lady would say, "Kaimiloa noho, sit down." And she says, "You know, when you remember things like that, keakua is having you reflect on the lives you've had." And I went, "Why?" And she said, you'll understand why later, but remember the emotions you felt. Even though they're not Hawaiian, they might be Indian, Native American Indian, it might be Chinese, but there'll come a time that when those past lives will come to merge and blend, and you will need to remember as many of your past life skills to become what we call the melting pot of Hawaii. And so, yes, there are many people who in this lifetime are blonde hair, blue eyes, that may have been at one time very Hawaiian, very ancient. And that there are some of us, I'm stepping out of the box again, and there are some of us, some mentors who are very Hawaiian, and we've sat and talked many times that we were once of a place before they called this place Hawaii. And that some of us believe that parts of our islands hold a traditional land area of Lemuria. Yeah. And that
it's returned from Kauai, and it's the Lemurian energy, yes.
Yes, very strong. It's also very strong in Maui. And so now the more open discussion is, so we were something else before we were labeled with Hawaiiana, the name Hawaiian. So for some of us to take us back that far, we believe in Lemuria. We believe in the crystals. We even believe Pele has olivine crystals to vibrate her green energy of abundance. And so it goes beyond. And I'm one that I used to cry because people would say, "You're not really Hawaiian," you know, because raised very American and very much into a religion at one time. And my tutu lady would say, "You remember that, because whenever people struggle as to why they are not Hawaiian, you tell them what I'm telling you, because I'm Hanai Hawaiian." And she said that if I can remember the past life of Hawaii, I am Hawaiian, because we are from this land called Hawaii. However, we also come from the land that we call Lemuria. So what are we? We're brothers and sisters of our greatest creator. And so she said that you came back in this kind of life because you would help people merge that they are Hawaiian at heart. In their past genealogy lifeline, they may have been Hawaiian, or they may have been Lemurians. So who are we to say? It's the individual. We have the mo'okuhauhau. Our spine is our backbone. For every backbone sits an ancestor of another time, another race. And it keeps us together to be pono. That's the alignment. That's the alignment right here of this, the breath, that life path. And so, which is why when I'm doing certain events, I make sure I put this in there, because it's to touch everybody, whether you are of the koko or not, the blood, Hawaiian blood, but you are of the worldly bloodline. And so with that is that quantum. That's why I love this. The quantum, it's that greatest hui or group from the world coming together for traditional medicine and healing. And my Stephen Kupihea, my kupuna, would say love. Love is the greatest medicine, no matter what language. 4 letters, love. He would say that heals the heart. And as you felt this morning, letting your own breath feel the vibration and receiving your ancestors, which the Oli invited all. I called upon the Hawaiian guardians first because they were of this land and we are standing, so it's with permission, that we honor the home first. And then if you're here, come and join us, hosted by the Hawaiian mana that is here. And there was so much love in there. So even for me, I
got emotional several times
too, and like you, it was looking at everybody's faces and feeling the energy. And I cannot help. I used to always say, oh, Auntie, I always cry. She goes, that's right. Crying is healing. And she would always say, that's the water again. You're sharing the richness of life, of what your eyes have seen.
And that opens the heart too, you being crying and having the waters. No.
Yes. Yeah.
It opened our hearts with your connection with your sister that you mentioned several times. I mean, all of that is part of the ritual.
Right. At one time, when you were a kahu, very
no emotions.
No emotion, and it was heva to show an emotion. Thank goodness, with the passing of time and now lifting that, it's now open your heart. And if that allows the tears to come, then you share those tears. And I'm grateful for that, because I know that there were times, I'll share a story. One time I had a hard time chanting. By myself, I can chant. When I'm in an audience, I could not chant. I could not remember chants. And so that was written by others. And I would cry to my tutu. And she would say, sweetheart, she was baby girl. There was a time when what I did as a chanter did cause destruction. And I remember that time. Because that came at the end of what I shared. She goes, what do you see when you cry and you break, you can't chant? And I see devastation. And she went, and remember I said she always asked, I had to solve it myself. She would go, and what was devastated? I said, there were people that were dead all over. And she went, what caused it? And I went, the wrong leadership, or leadership that was not pono. And she went, oh, so you were a male in that lifetime? And I went, oh, yes. So she went, Maikai. And then she said that, what did you see happen? And then I realized that I had greed in my heart, and I had improperly said the intention, and that caused it to fly back. We call that it hits back. There was somebody else stronger who knew their prayers and chanting, and I was boastful. I thought I knew. We call it ho'oyo, when you're conceited. And that my lesson was that there was somebody better than me. and it caused the destruction of my people. Or
Then you forgave
and
yourself?
yes, she helped me to forgive my mistakes, and that I was back in this lifetime because I now need to put my energies to what is needed in the world, and it was like having a second chance. Now you know within your na'au what you can do. Forgive yourself for that mistake and recreate your journey to now make it correct in this lifetime. When I was able to do that, more messages came, more opportunities, more gifts. And so I cried a lot in realizing to a point now that that helped me, because when I accepted my own forgiveness and that I wanted to now do good, it freed the chakra, the throat chakra. And then, of course, I learned chakra healing using crystals and toning that was very universal to help nurture that path of my chanting. And I finally realized why there are only certain chants I can memorize. And my tutu lady said, "Why do you think that?" And I said, "Well, it works when I do my own." And she went, "You just answered your own question." And because of the visuals that I see and connect with guides, when I do my oli, and I'm sure others out there who probably are doing the same, I see who I'm to represent. I see who are guiding me. So I might be saying it, but they're saying it back to me spiritually. And when that evolves in a place, I then become connected to people like you who also have your own guides and amakua. Whether it's singing, chanting, or praying behind you, we all become one. And that's when that unified energy or the mana intensifies, and then it creates such a beautiful feeling of, I know why I'm here. And
so beautiful to feel I belong here, or I belong, I'm connected, I'm loved.
yes, yes, and that's what the world needs right now. We all need to feel we are connected, we are loved, and if there's any disagreements, then it's not only them, there has to be something about us too. And so we need to recognize that we are not all that great as well. And that we also need to offer our own forgiveness. And what I found best is that if I walk that and people know I've made mistakes and people see me continue to imua, move forward, that's one of the greatest gifts I can share. Because I have gone through several intense hurt, death and within family or friends, and I've had great losses in my life, but yet it was the universal spirit that helped nurtured me to go, you know what, there was a reason for all of that. And continue walking the love. That's it, walking the love, and then meeting people like you and others that have that universal heart, that universal spirit.
We're all connecting right now to each other. What a blessing to thank you for all this wisdom and this beautiful time together. So appreciate it.
Pleasure. Heme Ike, it's my pleasure. I feel like both of our kupuna are smiling because my kupuna did say, one day you have to olelo. And I went, olelo means to talk story. And she went, but how else will people hear the message? And she used to say, no, be scared. I'm going to be there.
Yeah, totally supported.
Yes, totally supported. And with this coming of this breeze that just came, that is our ancestors coming to embrace this special moment. Yeah. With you, I really appreciate you and what you do for our world.
Thank you. Much, much love, my delicious co-creator. We appreciate you. We love you. You're connected. This is all happening around the world. Yes. I love this. How the wisdom is blending from all traditions, all areas on this earth. We're all coming together as one. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Aloha.
Aloha. Ahui ho.
Bye-bye, my delicious co-creators. Thank you.